Today we're going to be talking about current markets for which ones are profitable and which ones are a little bit more risky and which ones are not. Let us begin. Now, over the past couple of weeks I've been looking at the different types of markets, other different types of content creators, whether that be written, video, audio, all that jazz, when it comes towards which things are performing and just trying to keep up to date with everything. First things first, there has been a rise in different types of concentration builds in order to actually produce different types of materials, for instance. Now, you do have different types of mass concentration builds when it comes towards jewel crafting, alchemy, and blacksmithing for those alloys, gems, and everything else. Those ones seem to be doing quite well at this moment in time. However, when it comes towards those concentration builds, number one, you are using your concentration, so fair enough. That is something to take note of. But other things of note is when you're actually jumping on towards different types of concentration builds and you're trying to flip that stuff or shuffle those materials into items of note and trying to make a profit on those, you do run the risk of actually losing gold. As a couple of times I've actually gone ahead and tried doing some of these concentration builds and falling flat on my face, losing a bit of gold. So they may be profitable at this moment in time. However, the thing that I would always bear in mind is, are you happy to lose the gold? Because you are essentially shuffling and or flipping materials into items in order to sell on for a profit. If you're producing materials such as, like, let's say refining, for instance, which isn't a concentration build but it does go in the same realm as shuffling, you can lose gold as well. Now, I did a video a couple of weeks ago about refining, and ever since then the price has plummeted a bit, but that is due in part that people generally will go for materials as they will tend to sell faster than above all of the others. It's because base materials are used in all the other different types of professions and or crafting. That is something to bear in mind right there. Jumping onto materials and everything, the things of note when it comes towards farmed materials, i.e. skinning, herbalism, mining, fishing, and all that jazz, I have seen a nice rise in people actually currently farming for this type of stuff. However, the material prices at this moment in time have dropped significantly, i.e. when it comes towards like the Ringing Deeps multi-farm, you can roughly get anywhere from around about 10,000 gold all the way up to around about 20,000 gold if you are lucky to get enough of those different types of ones, and that is me factoring the auction house cut at 5%, just FYI. The things of note with this is it's kind of gone back down towards the baselines of material farming for pre-Legion, where different types of materials farmed up would give you that amount of gold. We're seeing something along the lines of that in general for current content materials, but if we go in towards other different types of materials, i.e. mining in general, we can see that a lot of the prices are fluctuating anywhere from around about 4,000 gold per hour to around about 10,000 gold per hour for base mining. Now, if we went over towards multi-farms and had a look at that, we're not looking at anything more favorably. The gold farm that I used to really dig in on was arcane crystals in Silithus. It is currently worth around about 9,000 gold, give or take a few hundred gold. Looking at that, I generally wouldn't do these types of material farms, mainly due in part that with the legacy gold farms at this moment in time, the auction house merged the previous expansion, you do see that there is an overwhelming supply of materials on the auction house at buying them out. However, this does open the door for things like shuffles, as we previously mentioned, for those different types of concentration builds, but i.e. old world shuffles are still actually regularly a thing. The thing that I've been shuffling quite regularly is mooncloth. Now, mooncloth generally costs next to nothing to craft at this moment in time, and all it requires is me to go to Donessus in order to jump into a moonwell and do that. So there is profitable things in legacy content for shuffling as well as current content, is what I'm generally trying to say. And then that brings us on towards farming, as is, if material farming is not really that profitable at this moment in time, how are base items looking at the moment? Now, we can take a nice little gander at like different types of raid pets. You are are seeing quite a fluctuation in what cost of some raid pets are. You're looking at anything from like the Trial of the Crusader, Battle of Dazara Lore, the Emerald Nightmare, Throne of Thunder and Siege of Orgrimmar giving the best ones, starting with at least 12,000 gold if you are lucky to get a hold of those battle pets, i.e. Trial of the Crusader is the Snowboiled Runt, the Battle of Dazara Lore, you literally are going for the Spawn of Kragwa, Thunder Lizard Runt, and the Child of Paku. Emerald Nightmare, you've got the Nightmare Whelpling, and the Throne of Thunder, we've covered these before. Those ones tend to sell really nicely, especially when it comes towards things like the Living Fluid and the Vicious Horror. Those ones tend to sell okay, and if we jump over towards mounts and have a nice little gander, we can see that generally you're wanting to go for ones from BFA. The Golden Mane's Reigns, the Terrified Pack Mule, and the June Scavenger are going really well at over 100k on my server at this moment in time. It's like 128k on the bare minimum, all the way up to 186. This does generally change on your server specifically, however I would check those out, as those ones are high RNG, so you are putting in the time, but you can get a hold of that. It's kind of the same deal or shtick as RNG based flipping and shuffling. Other than that, I am seeing a nice little rise in different types of transmog at the moment. When it comes towards transmog sales have been increasing, so that is something I've been doubling down on because it costs me no gold to actually do, it just costs me time instead. The ones of note that I've been looking into are doing the high value ones, i.e. Black Fathom Deeps, Alderman and Sunwell. Those dungeons and instances are really good for giving high recipes and transmog, which I then can sell on the auction house, and then once they sell, providing you have a high variety of transmog items on the auction house, those ones are doing really well as well. When it comes towards other different types of raids, however, the Lamented gear is something I really am doubling down on. It's because no one wants to put in the time to get a hold of those corrupted Scourge Stones to turn into the death bargaining chips and then try and get a hold of a Lamented helm or a Lamented shoulders. For me, I'm literally just doubling down on my alt army on that and just farming that out every single day. Now, I would carry this on as a daily series, however, me farming the same instance every single day with loads of different alts would tend to be a bit boring for actual video content as such. However, it is actually proving to be quite profitable when those sales come in, as the Lamented gear are one of the highest selling transmog items at the moment, so not too bad. It's just the RNG factor that you need to factor in. Are you willing to put in half an hour to clear Naxxramas in order to get 5 chances of trying to get a hold of a Lamented piece? For me, it's generally worth it because I gain those other different types of materials that come along with that. Then I just sell those really crappy battle pets on the auction house, which actually does bring us on to battle pet farming. Some battle pet farming, such as the ones in Timeless Isles for like Garnia, the Ruby Droplet, those ones are generally doing quite well. That's mainly because no one really generally farms them anymore. However, when those ones do sell, that is RNG based. However, that's a higher RNG base than things like the Lamented gear, so to speak, and you can spawn camp. Now, I'm generally a proprietor of spawn camping when it comes towards farming, and it's just something that I generally enjoy doing, as it takes very little time in order to actually do. It just makes sense for me to just log on, take out the actual rare, and then just log back out. The same goes with one-off instances for a day. Let's just say we've got an alt army of 5 and we go do the Mojo Battle Pet. Now, this Mojo Battle Pet is really simple. All we have to do is just get Amani Hex Sticks, run around, try and find random frogs and cast those Hex Sticks on them, try and see if we get a hold of that battle pet and then sell that on the auction house. Things like that are generally doing quite well at the moment. In regards to farming, materials are on the low at the moment. Shuffling is on the mid. I would want to warrant a guess. It depends on when you actually do it and whether or not you are going to actually pull in that profit. There's been multiple instances of people making huge amounts of profit, and then the complete opposite can be true where people are losing gold. So it's your choice, mate, at the end of the day, if you want to go do that. It's one thing that I'm not really too interested in, is trying to risk a ton of gold. For instance, with farming for transmog, recipes and battle pets, markets, they seem to be doing quite well at the moment, so I'm really happy with that. And overall, Wintervale is coming up soon, and Pilgrim's Bounty, so there is some gold making options in order for everyone to do thus far with that. Other than that, what have you guys noticed when it comes towards current markets? I'd like to know your thoughts on what's actually doing well for you, what's not doing well for you, and then we can see in the comment section what is actually working for everyone else. Other than that, I'm going to get back to farming. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I shall see you in the next video, which will be soon.